Hi David, hopefully the audio on this comes out clearly. I'll do what I can to adjust it so you can read it. I've got your file. It's all pretty much straightforward stuff. There's just an awful lot of straightforward stuff in there. So if I start at the top, we've got just a merged and centered cell which looks like it's going from A over to N. I'd probably put that over to O actually at the end, but for now we'll just replicate exactly what you've got. So I'm just highlighting A through to N. I'm going to hit merge and center. And I'm going to put the text in, ETP, whatever it says, attendance, register. Forgive any typing errors that are in this. So I'm just going to click that. I'm going to make it bold, hitting the bold button there, and I'm just going to increase the font size by hitting the little plus button. So we've got attendance register, attendance roster actually it says, doesn't it? Now underneath that looks like we have merged from A through to K, another merged and centered cell. So I'm just going to merge and center that, and this one says training site. Whoops, training site. Okay, so far so good. Now after the training site we have another two merged and centered cells. So we have this one here merged and centered, and this one says roster hashtag. So we have roster, and I'm going to make that bold, and we have an outline here. So I'm just going to choose outline outside borders, which is just going to color around the outside there, and I think we have a background of yellow. Let's have a look, more colors. It's probably that kind of color. Okay, and then we have just this one that's been merged and centered, and that has an outline around it too. So there you go, that's almost what the first couple of lines look like. The next line's been scrudged up a little bit, so it reduces in size. Now we've got down the side we have number of trainees. Now that goes from line, oh no, sorry, we have contractor type next, don't we? So we have contractor, have I typed that right? Ignore any spelling mistakes that I make during this. Contractor name, and then my name here, whatever that says. And this one's merged and centered over to E. So I'm just going to merge and center, and then it looks like it's left aligned, but you probably have a few spaces in here to make it look like it nudges in a little bit. The next one we have is, I think we have a line 5 has been scrudged up a little bit to make it look littler. Contractor name's also got a background of yellow, so just selected that, choose the color and choose that outline borders option again, and I think the text is bold. So it's a little cumbersome, but luckily you only have to do it once. Then we have a merged and centered cell from A6 down to A12. So I'm just going to highlight A6 down to A12, hit merge and center. And there's a trick in this one. So what we have is hashtag dot, I think, of trainers. And what we need to do is align that differently. So I've just selected that cell. At the moment the text is going from left to right, and what we want it to do is go from bottom to top. So I've just hit that there, and you can see this little option here, orientation. If you just click on that, you can see that you can flip it. So format cell, let's go to format cell alignment, and then we're just going to drag this little red dot here all the way up until it goes upwards, so it's 90 degrees. And then we'll have number of trainees, it says. Oops, number of trainees. I think that's what it says. And again, we can center that in that cell by using the center and the middle alignments. And that is also in yellow, and it is also bordered. So now we have that one in there. Now the next thing we have is this ETP thing, which looks like it's done over to E and down as far as line 10. So I've just highlighted that, and I'm going to hit merge and center. It's coloured in yellow, and it has a border around it. Now here's a trick. Okay, so we're going to type our, I won't type the right thing in here. So we have our first line of text. Now if you hit Alt and Enter at the same time, you can see in the formula bar that it's actually given you a new line of text to type into. So in here you can type my second line of data and then hit Alt and Enter, and that will give you another one. And so you can put my third line and Alt and Enter, and you can get new lines like that. So you can type something else, Alt and Enter, and something else, hit Enter, and then it will all line up. So I'm just going to reselect that and just align it over to the left. And if you want to change the font formatting on any of these, just scroll up into your formula bar, highlight the text. So my first line of text, or my line of text, will be bold. And then when I hit Enter, you can see that that first one has appeared as bold. So if you want to just highlight some of the text in this, just select the text in the formula bar, and we could say make that larger. And then we can scroll down a little bit and say my third line, we'd like it to be red and bold and italics, and just scroll down through here. If you've got a mouse with a scroll button, you can just use that. If not, just click in and use your arrow keys, and then you can just select by highlighting any bit of the cell that you want to highlight. So we could say we'll make that blue and increase the font size and make it bold. And then when you finished editing your text in the formula bar, hit Enter, and then your text will look exactly as it needs to. Okay, next we have some merging and centering over here, all the way over to column O. So merge and center, make it yellow, make it outline bordered, and we have training dates. And then it looks like underneath we've just got bordered cells for each of those. So I'm just going to highlight all of those, and this time I'm going to choose all borders. So now we get those lines in there just like we did before. And to speed it up, I'm just going to copy that. So I've highlighted from here down to here, hit Control and C, come underneath, Control and V. That gives us our start and ending times. Start and end. And then I'm going to copy that again, so we have another one for hours a minute. So I'm copying that, left click, drag down, copy, and paste that in there. And here we have hours and minutes. Now it looks like row 12 has just been made taller, so I'm just going to drag it down to where line 13 would be by left clicking, and then I'm going to merge and center this, merge and center, make it yellow, make it outlined, and it says trainee initials colon. Now to get to the new line, hold down Alt, press Enter, and more text in here, and whatever that needs to say. Now the next thing we have is another merged and centered cell, which is here. So I'm just going to highlight the two, merge and center, make it yellow, and use that outside border again because I don't want a line through the middle. And here we have job, Alt and Enter, and what do we have? Job, no dot, Enter, and that one needs to be centered. So we're going to choose this option here, whoops, this option here, and this option here to put it in the middle. And I think we also have it bold and underlined. So now we have job number. We have trainee name across here, which is another merged and centered. So merge and center, yellow. And again, I'm going to choose the outside borders, and I'm just going to line this up in the middle. So I've chosen this option and this option. And in here we type trainee name, and I think that's bold and underlined, bold, underlined. Now this cell is a little bit wider, so I'm just going to widen that out a little bit, and we have do we have another merged and centered cell there? I think we do. So I'm just going to highlight here and here, hit merge and center, make it yellow, and do an outside border, and I'm going to put trainee signature colon, Alt and Enter, and whatever other text goes in here. Okay, and then you can type whatever needs to go in. Now trainee, well, this entire box looks like it's centered, which is good, but it's top aligned. So I'm just going to come over to here to top align, left click and it will go up to the top, and trainee signature is underlined. So I'm just going to highlight trainee signature in the formula bar, and I'm going to hit the little underline, and then when I hit enter, you can see that that's now got our trainee signature underlined. Could be bold as well. Now if I look over at these end columns over here, they're a little bit narrower. So I'm just going to click on your original document, which I've got open here, just a second. So I'm just going to click on here, right click and choose column width. And we can see that the column width is 5.14. So I'm just going to copy that, hit cancel, drag it out the way. And I'm going to change the column width on all of these by highlighting F through to O. Right click, choose column width and type that over the top, so it's 5.14. OK, so that should be starting to look like the original document. It looks like we have a bunch of numbers down the side there that go from 1 through 20. So I'm just going to hit 1 and 2, and I'm just going to drag that down using the fill handle until we get to 20. Keep going. 20. Okay, and it looks like they've been center aligned, so I'm just going to choose this option here. So there you go. So now we have number of trainees. Let's have a look how that looks compared to the original. So far so good. And job number always appears to say 1, so I'm just going to type 1 in the first one and just double click there, and it'll fill 1 all the way down. And we also want that centered by the looks of it, so I'm just going to hit center. Now all of this area here, trainee name is merged and centered. So merged and centered on C13 and D13. So I've just highlighted there. And I think if I just drag down and hit Control and D, and that didn't do it, just a second. So I'm highlighting there. I'm hitting merge and center, and I'm highlighting here underneath a merge and center. And now I'm just going to copy that one down. I'm holding shift. So I've selected this cell. I'm holding shift. I'm going all the way down to the bottom, and then I'm going to hit Control and D to fill down, and that should give us merged cells all the way down. Perfect. Okay. This isn't merged, and the rest of this looks like it's just outlined. So I'm just going to highlight all of this area. Let me come down to the bottom, and I'm going to go into here, and I'm going to choose all borders, because we want the lines to appear in these little lines coming down as well. So all borders. So now it's starting to look something like the original. Let's just narrow this column up a little here between A and B, and narrow this column up here between B and C, and that, let's have a look. Hang on, let me just drag your original into shot. So this column here, C and D, if I highlight the two and hit column width, it says 15.43. I don't know if that's the two of them, so let's just try it. Column width, 15.43 was it? Let's bring the original back in. Okay, that's starting to look something like the original document. Let's just check the width of V as well by right clicking it and choosing column width, and that one says 32.43. Let's copy that using Control and C and do the same for this one. Column width 32.43, enter. Okay, so that should, where's your original document gone? Hang on a minute. There we go. Okay, so that's starting to look okay. So we're good for all of this bit. Then let's just zoom in a little bit. It looks like we've got a merged and centered cell across here as well at the bottom. So we'll just come down to the bottom, hit merged and centered. So I'm dragging from A33 all the way across, merge and center. Let's have a look at the original. Yeah, it looks like there's some spaces in there, so it will say note 1, whatever the note is in there, and it's been left aligned, but it looks like they've just entered a few spaces before the word note to make it nudge in a little bit. And we have note 2, so I'm just going to highlight the cell that we've just done, the now merged and centered, hold down shift, come down, hit Control and D, and that will copy that down. And that will now say note 2, and whatever note 2 will say various text in here. Okay, so far so good. Again, it looks like down the bottom we have something that's been merged and centered across A and B. So we'll merge and center A and B. And what does it say? It says date. So we have date. And I'm just going to reselect the cell. And it looks like we now have a different color. So we now have a blue kind of color. This probably won't be spot on, but date, and then we want the outside border again, because we don't want to colour that line in down the middle. So now we have date, we now have trainer name, which is in column C. So trainer name, and that looks like it's been, let's have a look, that's been centered, and it's got the same format as these cells. So I'm just going to hit center, make it blue, and color the outlines. Okay, trainer name. I think these are actually in bold as well. Trainer signature. I'm just going to copy that, so I'm just going to select Control and R and just change the word there to signature. Enter. Trainer signature. Course titles. Again, I'm just going to select the cell to the side and hit Control and R because these are single cells. Sorry, that and that are single cells, so you can just copy it and paste it. And in here we have course titles. Whoops. Course titles. And that looks like it's been centered. Right, now we have another merged and centered bit. Let me just drag that in. Okay, so now we have a merged and centered cell that's running from F over to O for the next one. So I'm just going to drag from F over to O and hit merge and center, and then whatever text that says, whatever text goes in here, and that also needs to be blue in background and have an outside border. I think this entire line is actually bold, so I'm just going to highlight line 35 by left clicking it and hitting the bold button. So let's just find your original document again and zoom out. I have to do that so I can actually see it all. Right, let's scroll down a bit. And then it looks like we've just got some merged and centered cells again underneath here. So I'm going to hit merge and center, and I'm going to give that an outside border. And how many do we have? We have 1, 2, 3. Whoops, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm just going to highlight that. Left click 1. That's 2, 3, 4 rows. Control and D. So now we have our date boxes in there. Back to the original document. Trainer name. That's just outside bordered. So I can. In fact, I'm going to highlight all of those there. In fact, I'm going to highlight there through there, but rather than an outside border, because we want it to actually colour in all the lines, we'll come up to here and we'll choose all borders. So there you go, now we have our all borders. Let's have a look at the original document again. And it looks like it's exactly the same thing over here as well. This is an all borders thing. So all borders. So I've just highlighted all of those cells. I'm going to hit this one with the cross in it, so it says all borders, and that's coloured that in. Let's have a look at the original. Okay, and then it looks like we've just got a merged and centered thing across the bottom there. So I'm just going to highlight all the way across the bottom, hit merge and center. This is the last cell on the sheet. And oop, that's also in blue, and it has an outside border. There we go. So let me just shrink that down. The colours are probably not right, but it kind of looks something like the original. If I can just put that to the side of it, make that a little bit bigger, and zoom out. Yeah, it looks something like that, I think. Now, actually, on your original, what you do have, where is it? You have a bold line around this section here, this middle section, up to there by the looks of it. So it looks like it's from 031 up to, probably goes all the way over to D6. Yeah. So let's just highlight all of that there. And this time we're going to go here and we're going to say thick box border and click that. And now when we click off, you should see that you've got a super thick border around all of that section. And you may want to do that around this section here by choosing the thick box border, and maybe even at the top. I don't actually know what the original looks like now. Thicker on the top. And then if I zoom in, that looks something like your original document. Sorry, that's a 22-minute video. That went on a bit, but that should cover everything that's included in that document. So as usual, if you have any questions, ping me an email or ping me a message or post it in the discussion, and I can see if I can sort it out for you. Have a great day.